Hello, everyone. Welcome again to all of the alumni network of the Rome Business School. Valentino Megali here. As you know, every month we decided to shift our RBS Innovation Bites to an interview with a specialist from different kind of domains. Over the past months, I had the opportunity to interview many specialists in many domains, from generative AI to femtech the last time, and luxury. And today we have the pleasure also of exploring another kind of field, the very, I would say, extremely potential, but also sometimes challenging intersection of finance and artificial intelligence. Today with us, I'm going to interview. We have our guest here. Here we have, all right, Thibault Grioval, CEO at ION Consulting, a company that is based in Bruxelles and focusing on consulting on digital transformation with very clear interest also in the financial industry. So, Thibault, welcome here on our digital stage. Welcome. And thanks a lot for being here. Maybe you can add also a little bit more about ION Consulting also for our audience.
Thank you, Valentino. First of all, it's a real pleasure to meet you today and discuss this hot topic with you. So indeed, briefly, ION Consulting, a strategy consulting firm based in Brussels, but also active in other regions in Europe, and particularly focusing on topics related to governance, to business strategy, to transformation, indeed. And so we support various types of companies, major banks, for example, but also ministries and also scale-ups at a European level.
Amazing. And actually, not so far ago, I had a great pleasure and honor also to be hosted by your annual event that was dedicated also about how artificial intelligence, new technologies, and the digital transformation is changing the work, the business, the management. And it was thanks a lot once again for hosting me. And that was a great opportunity to really talk with thought leaders and managers with an amazing expertise on this challenging topic. So I want to start our discussion today with one question. So first of all, AI, no, this big thing that is happening everywhere, that is impacting every single field, how it is transforming financial decision making. So finance is a very particular sensitive part of the market, impacting our wealth of businesses, individuals, companies. So how AI is changing this field, and what in this field and in this kind of intersection still is human?
Yeah, that's
Big
indeed
question.
a big question, but certainly very important, because indeed we see that the world of or the corporate world is changing and is largely impacted by this major trend at the moment. What we see as consultants is that indeed in the specific financial decisions that are being made in organizations, AI is very much integrated nowadays. We, for example, see that time-consuming processes, calculation, forecasts are more and more automated. Reporting is, of course, now more and more automated in organizations. It's also easier to detect anomalies in processes or in the different transactions, for example, within an organization. So it's more and more integrated for such tasks. We also see that many organizations implement now real-time forecasting, and so it is changing the way financial teams are working on a daily basis. And that's a major trend we're seeing also in banks, with algo trading desks that are more and more implemented, that have impact clearly on the organizations of banks, also on people in the end. And basically what we notice is a kind of shift from, I would say, static forecasting, manual forecasting, to kind of predictive forecasting. More and more this ability to predict, to try to predict what's going to happen not in 5-10 years, but
Mm-hmm.
probably in 1 to 2 years for companies, thanks to AI. For the second part of your question, maybe for the human aspect, I still believe that the way people use it in finance is largely impacted by human values, let's say, and remains critical. Because the strategic intent or the long-term vision behind the decision, a financial decision, still remains between the hands of leaders in the end. And I think for the sensitive topics, for example, shutting down a department, for instance, or making investment decisions, when there is a kind of strategic aspect, a vision aspect, CSR aspect, potential impact on the reputation, on the brand, there the human touch remains critical, and I believe that's very important to keep this responsibility to accountability of the leaders making the decision.
Absolutely, and this is a challenge, and this is a process, I would say, that really doesn't start exactly in that moment, but at the same time it was accelerated, like back in 2022, 2023, when ChatGPT emerged from the market. And beyond ChatGPT, a new kind of generation of large language models emerged that allow us to interact with all of this kind of tools and platforms in a different way. I just want to make a consideration. Visa and MasterCard are entering in this kind of era with the topic of intelligent commerce. And it's quite interesting. Maybe it's not related to the big finance, but at the same time, it's going to change the way we buy stuff, because we can delegate to a machine to buy the stuff. Do you think that this is going to impact also the big finance? So that I would say the big companies operating in finance, just delegating to machines more of things that were human so far?
I think it is the case at the moment. We work with large organizations, worldwide organizations, already making such decisions or investments in stocks, for example, with a part of their portfolio completely delegated to AI. So I think it's already happening today. I don't know, honestly, if it's going to be completely implemented for such organizations for the reason we just explained. But yeah, clearly it is used today and will continue to, of course, to be used in the next few years. The question behind it is probably on the how it is used in such organizations, because we know that banks are also very much impacted by the regulations. They need to be compliant with certain number of rules depending on the region, the countries where they operate. And also, they have a kind of pressure now from their customers to make certain types of decisions that are in line with their values, with their beliefs as well. And so, I think there is maybe a leverage at some point for consumers to actually impact the decisions and the proper organizations of such organizations based on that.
And that's also another big, I would say, once again, challenge, fear of all of the professionals. Are we going to be replaced? No, are we going to lose the jobs? So this is not only in finance, it's really everywhere. Education first, also, like I'm talking on behalf of the Rome Business School, and this is something that is impacting how people learn, how professionals grow. So my next question is, what about the skills? Now, this is something that students also at the Rome Business School always ask, what are the skills to thrive in this world? And what are the skills that we expect from the leaders to really operate in this complex world? Some parts we also discussed in Bruxelles the last time. So what are the skills? What is the mindset that we need?
Yeah, I think for leaders today, first I would say knowledge or data fluency, having this ability to understand what's happening at the moment, making sure that they are aware of the major shifts around them, of the impact it's going to have, that it's already having today. And I think this is crucial for leaders nowadays to upskill, basically making sure they're at the right level of information, at least, to facilitate the integration of AI, because AI is going to stay. It's here for a long time. It's just even the beginning of a much bigger wave. So they will need to embrace it. And I think this agility as well, maybe it's the second skill I can mention, having this ability to accept that is coming in organizations that will have an impact on the organizations is essential. I believe that as I said earlier, the 5 years, 10 years business plans or that no longer exist. I don't know a single leader, don't have a single client who is able to tell me where the company will be in 10 years in the current context, of course. And so having this ability to adapt will be even more important in the years to come, I believe.
How you keep in touch with all of this stuff with your company? How you, and also everybody of you, because you're all humans joining the forces to support other humans challenging and challenged by this kind of change. How you keep the pace with this kind of change at a daily basis, something very human. How Thibault faces this change?
We read a lot. We try to be extremely connected to our ecosystem by organizing events as the one you attended, but also participating in a lot of events. I'm currently in Paris for Viva Technology, and we meet a lot of people who try to constantly be in touch with the innovators around us to make sure that we constantly have the latest trends, that we know what's happening again around us. It's a huge challenge because indeed it's evolving on a daily basis, and there is always something new happening. But at the same time, that's absolutely great, because that's also what we like in such a job. It's to constantly learn and being challenged, and if we're curious, well, that's an amazing moment to live in the end.
Yeah, no, that's definitely amazing, very exciting, very stimulating. This is also a point for our students sometimes. Today, ChatGPT and similar system, they provide us with the illusion that we can find any kind of information online, and with just a prompt. In your perspective, like in your experience, what is the added value of going to physical events, like meeting people and not just asking ChatGPT? Because sometimes some people say, no, I don't need to go there. No, I'm just going to ask and I have anything at my fingertips. Why people should go at events?
Well, this is absolutely essential. I say it every single day to all my colleagues as well. We were talking about this human connection that I believe, again, makes the difference. What I basically say to my colleagues is that the difference in the future between the great consultants who will be able to use AI on a daily basis, but also, again, make this connection with the human aspects and connect I would say the rational aspects of AI with the emotional aspects of human connection. These ones will be much better prepared for the challenges of tomorrow, and will make a difference with the ones who are not able to adapt to this new reality. So for me, attending events, meeting people, and not only on the tools, digital tools, but also real life, really makes a difference. And I believe more and more. We had years during COVID, of course, where we all changed our ways of working. Which is great in some ways, because we see that people are much more agile nowadays to work with these tools. But in the same time, we kind of lost a little bit of human touch in transactions, in collaborations, cooperations with others. And so finding this touch again, this connection with people, I believe will be essential to create real partnerships.
Absolutely. And when it comes to humans, there is also another big topic, the topic of ethics. Like, it's not only about privacy, it's not only about data, of course, it's not only about productivity, but also some values that can be disrupted, especially when you start delegating so much to technology. So we talked about opportunities. Based on your experience, what could be the risks of implementing artificial intelligence in the finance field, also for your customers, your clients, your partners? what could be the risks, and also how you see leaders are managing these ethical kind of borderline situations, liminal situations. What's your experience on that?
Well, we see it at the moment with some clients being first kind of afraid with all these changes, and indeed the potential impact it can have on their strategy, on their competitiveness, but also indeed their ethics and their CSR policies as well. We, for example, had a case in the last few days of a company, a manufacturing company, extremely dependent, let's say, on quality standards. And for quality standards, of course, AI is kind of a huge game changer. And these quality standards, internationally recognized, are currently changing, evolving a lot, which means that for organizations nowadays, if they want to remain compliant with these quality standards, including, for example, a very known one, EcoVadis, or this kind of very famous names, well, they will need to adapt as well within their organizations. So we see that it is a challenge for organizations. We see more and more committees, risk committees, digital risk committees, ethics committees being created in organizations to make sure they can tackle, address this topic as fast as possible. We feel a need for support, for advice on this, to make sure that company can remain on the good trend while integrating AI to remain competitive in the same time. So that's another challenge that they're facing at the moment. Yeah.
And what is the role of institutions in that? Do you see the role of institutions in that, in providing guidance or I don't know, providing constraints sometimes? What do you think?
Yeah, well, you're so very well placed to know that the European Commission is working hard on the topic to provide, regulation on one hand, but also support and making sure that they can accompany companies, organizations in this transition, and making sure that Europe remains an innovation place, but in the same time a safe innovation place for everyone, for organizations, but also people. And I believe organizations are quite aware of that. We are regularly in touch with decision makers, institutions, to discuss this topic, and they're very much aware. Still, they also have their challenges to adapt to the velocity of change, because of course we know the constraints of institutions on that. But in the same time, there is this ambition to make sure that they provide the right frameworks, the right context for organization to shape the future of AI and future of Europe.
A perimeter of safety. Of safety.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we covered several points, and of course there would be a lot of time to discuss all of these aspects. But we are coming at the end also of our RBS Innovation Bite. I want to say, if people want to meet you or meet ION Consulting, where you are going to be in the next, I don't know, months, weeks, what could be the events that people can...
Well, we have many events. So we're traveling a lot in Europe. So all the different capitals in France, in Brussels, of course, in Luxembourg, in Spain, and also actually in Italy. So we'll be very happy to meet you in Rome in the next few months. We'll also attend events related to United Nations in Spain in the next few weeks.
Okay.
And next to that, a bit later in September and October, we'll organize events as well. So conference again, forums again, to discuss these topics, AI, governance, ethics in organizations. So we'll be very happy to welcome you all in these occasions.
And of course, we definitely invite all of our alumni network to follow Thibault Grioval on LinkedIn, and also ION Consulting to keep in touch with all of the topics that we were discussing also today. Thibault, was definitely a pleasure. Thanks a lot for your time. I also invite all of our alumni to subscribe to the newsletters to keep in touch with the news and the future sessions. any last final sentence that you would like to share with our audience?
A last sentence is maybe to not be afraid of AI. I think that's important to, as I said earlier, to embrace this, to understand that, anyway, it is part of our world today. And I believe this is a fantastic opportunity if we use it in the right way, if we're able to actually put the right conditions around technology to make sure that not a tech issue, but a more global topic to address altogether.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Thibault.
Valentino.
Thanks a lot. Proactive, positive, and thanks a lot for joining once again. Thank you, everyone, and see you to the next episode of RBS Innovation Bites. Thank you.